Hey, guys. Back at the playground again, huh?
Yep. You know what this playground could use? A wine country.
Heck yeah, and some waves, so we could go surfing.
Oh, yeah.
Love that.
A redwood forest would be cool.
I'm in.
Ah, ski slopes.
Let's do it.
Can a girl go shopping?
Yeah, baby!
Wait! Did we just invent California?
Discover why California is the ultimate playground at visitcalifornia.com.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Rita, General Kellogg.
Yep, we have General Keith Kellogg, of course, former national security advisor during the Trump administration. General Kellogg, first off, happy Veterans Day. What does it mean to you? You have served this country so beautifully, my friend.
Oh, thanks, John. Thanks, Rita, for having me on. It's good to be with you both and your whole team there. Look, it's just, it's just an honor to serve. Two great holidays for veterans and military. One is Memorial Day, when you remember the fallen, and Veterans Day, when you thank people who've given selfless service to the nation. About 6 million veterans out there, and I'm really proud of them. Of course, I have to tell you, the quick bridge over that, I'm still on a sugar high from last week, so I feel like my grandkids, I've fed them all my candy, so really good. So it's all good. Veterans Day even makes it better, so everything going good.
Yeah, I think the whole country, the world is cheering this on. Judge Weinberg.
General, good to talk to you again, sir. What I want to ask you is, what should we expect from the Trump administration in terms of foreign policy, the Mideast and in Europe?
Yeah. Well, I think what you're going to see a lot of it is following what we've done before. Like, I think you're going to see expansion in the Middle East, some peace breakout, expansion of the Abraham Accords, primarily with Saudi Arabia, because they're kind of the money bags. And you're going to see a return of deterrence globally, just not in the Middle East. And what I mean by that is there's two parts to deterrence. One is capability. In other words, how many airplanes or ships or troops they have. Then there's political will. If you haven't got the will, it doesn't make a darn bit of difference about capability. But President Trump has got the will to do something, whatever it takes. So, to use an American hockey term, he's willing to drop gloves if he has to. And I think the world understands that. Look, you're seeing it already. And I knew this was going to happen right after the election. Well, let's just use Qatar as an example. The Qataris are basically saying, okay, Hamas, now you can no longer be in Qatar. All right, that's a heck of a statement. And you're seeing a lot of countries like that reaching out to the president. And I think you're going to see some stability because they understand where this president is coming from, what he can do, and he's willing to force it if it doesn't work, diplomatically. Now, I think the most important thing is people are reaching out to him, and he's reaching out to them as well. Remember, I said one data point, but it's a good data point. President Biden hadn't talked to Vladimir Putin in over 2 years. It looks like President Trump and Putin have, in fact, talked this week. That's good. You have to talk to your adversaries as well as your friends to make sure everybody understands where you're coming from. And I think you're going to see that. And I think the world's going to be a lot safer than it was before. I think it's going to take a little bit of time because there's a lot of instability right now. But I think over the long term, and when I mean long term, 1 to 2 years, you're going to see a lot of things breaking our way. It's good for America and it's good for the world.
General, I get a lot of intelligence from Europe and all over. And there's a lot of apologies going to President Trump, and a lot of prime ministers are calling him. And I think it's going to be a safer world. I think it's going to be a world of more respect for the White House and more respect for the United States of America.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I'm absolutely convinced of that because they understand where the United States was at. Entering President Trump and now going to be in President-elect Trump. Remember, there were no new wars started at all. And let's just take one data point. Russia. Under George Bush, he invaded Georgia. Under Obama, he took Crimea. Under Biden, he took huge swaths of Ukraine in the Donbass regions. Under Trump, crickets, nothing at all. And you're going to see that throughout the world. And I think that's the reason why you're going to get into a much more stable and balanced world. And I think that's going to happen. I think that's why world leaders are reaching out to him. Look, you know him. He's a different type of person, but he's very forceful, very patriotic, loves America, loves our veterans, loves our military. But he didn't take a lot of garbage from people. And I think if you're an American, you could stride the world with a lot of confidence now.
Absolutely.
And by the way, the one thing is, and we're going to get those 4 hostages back from Hamas that are still alive, we hope, that they took over a year ago. President Trump said that they better be back in our hands by the day of the inauguration. And boy, I think if Hamas is smart, they better be listening and release those 4 Americans.
Well, there's somebody.
if they're still alive.
There's somebody from Palestine, one of the high priests or whatever.
Yeah, sort of like one of the high clerics,
already
leaders.
apologizing to the American people for October 7th.
Yeah, and that never happened under Kamala Harris.
He issued a fatwa on that, and he said that it was a misreading of the obligations, religious obligations.
Well, those 10,000 people that their families were starving, the 10,000 Hamases that were paid. I made a mistake originally. I said $10,000 per family. It was $20,000 per family. They did it for their families. They got $20,000
right for the money,
families.
right?
And then these guys were crazy and they went on
and did it right. It's going to be interesting. The whole new sheriff in town philosophy, right, General Kellogg?
Well, it's not only new sheriff; it's the old sheriff has returned. He said, "You guys screwed this up. I'm back. Thank you very much."
Right.
That's the way it is. He rode into the sunset. He came back. And I think everyone's going, "Uh-oh, he's back." And I think it's going to be good. Again, it's really good. It's going to be good for America. It's good for the world. I'm really glad not that he just won the Electoral College vote, but I'm glad that President-elect Trump also won the popular vote.
Yes.
And he won the House and the Senate. I think because of that, a lot of people are saying, okay, we got this one, and they're going to let him do what he should have been doing all along. So I think, in a way, I remember I talked to him the day after he was shot in Pennsylvania, and I talked to him this morning. I said, remember, Mr. President, I really believe that God put his hand on your shoulder that day. He knows that, and I think he's going to live up to that. And I think this is good for America.
We did it. You know how we did it, General? Too big to rig.
Yeah, so overwhelming. Unbelievable.
Yep. We had to get enough votes that no matter what the other side did. And we have to straighten out America and make sure there are no more voter fraud and just one American for one vote and just make sure that everybody just gets one vote. And that's it.
People need to have confidence.
Well, I think it's very true, and he has said that all along. He constantly says, by the way, I happen to agree with him. I don't know why we should have a voting season. We should have a voting day. If a country of France, which is quite large, can vote by paper ballot and have all the ballots counted by the end of the first day, why can't our states do stuff like that? And I understand there's exceptions, like military absentee ballots or elderly or something like that. But this whole long voting season just opens itself up to fraud. And I think the American people don't want that. When I was growing up, there was a paper ballot. I grew up in California. It was paper ballot, voted one day, and that's the way it should be. And I think Americans like that. I in my gut, I knew that we were probably going to have a decision on Election Day like 2016. I just had that feeling because I thought it was like 2016 all over again, and it came to be true. And you're right; it was basically too big to rig. And then when those states started rolling in, all the swing states, they just had to call it. And I knew that was going to happen, and sure enough, it did.
Boy, did it. What a great night. A great night for America, a great night for the world. Thank you so much. General Keith Kellogg, we love having you here. Thank you. And again, happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your great service to this country.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.